Did you know that sometimes the triggers that you have in your life could actually be trying to point you towards your greatest gifts? If you want to learn more about that, stay tuned. Welcome back. My name's Angie, and I am your soul alignment mentor, and I bring spirit messages that I receive to the collective to help them to align with their most authentic and highest self. And in today's episode, I want to specifically talk to you about triggers. If you are just finding me, I do soul alignment mentoring. I help people to clear and open their energy to live their most authentic potential life that they're meant to be living here as a human on earth. And I spent over 18 years working in the mental health field. So I have a little bit of an understanding of what triggers are and why they're a part of our lives and what causes them. But from a spiritual understanding, from the perspective of our higher self, triggers might have a different role in our life, I guess you could say. So, according to the mental health field, when you have a trigger, it is something that is related to something that causes you to feel upset about something. So I will use the example of PTSD. And this is something, if you've been around mental health, you may have heard before, but say someone has spent time in an area where there was war or there was a lot of really harmful possible death situations. I'm thinking about people that were in the army and have spent time, serving. When they come back, they are often diagnosed with what we call PTSD. And PTSD stands for a post traumatic stress disorder. So that means that the stress that they had on the battlefield or in the situation they were in, they've carried that stress back with them into their regular life. And now they're replaying that same stress in their nervous system. And so each time there's something that happens that reminds their mind, body, or energetic system about what they experience in that place in that time, their body automatically responds the same way that it responded in that moment. So if there was a loud bang, if there was something that caused great fear for them at that time, and then they come back, and this is a common thing that you might hear, they're around like fireworks or loud noises, they may react very quickly. They may respond in anger. They may withdraw, or they may become depressed. A lot of people that have PTSD have a hard time allowing themselves to be present in their life, because if you have a lot of things in your life that caused your nervous system, your energetic system, your body to respond and react in these ways, it can feel debilitating in some way, and you can feel as if you are not in control of your life. And so that is one perspective of the mental health diagnosis of PTSD. And it does take quite a bit of work to work through, but as a energy healer, as a Reiki master, a meditation coach, and a sound healer, I am able to combine my 18 years of working in the mental health field with thousands of people, and that education I had on that side of it with the understanding that I have now from spirit about why these things are in our lives and how to release them from our body and energy. Now, here's another perspective that I want to bring on, and it is the perspective that sometimes the triggers may not always represent something negative that happened in our life. Sometimes triggers are actually representing something positive attempting to happen in our life. And the reason I say this and focus on this particular kind of trigger during this episode is because I sense in the collective as a intuitive that a lot of people are wanting to step into new seasons in their life. And as we move into 2024, there will be a lot of more people that continue to go through a spiritual awakening, continue to raise their consciousness, their frequency, understand things more on a global and universal level, like seeing things all as one, the law of one, wanting to manifest things into their life, wanting to step into their potential, wanting to heal things that keep them from stepping into their power. All these things are happening collectively with people having awakenings, because people are feeling these internal pulls inside of them, which is their soul and their spirit, pushing them towards why their spirit decided to come and be a human during this lifetime. Many of us who are here on earth have been on earth multiple times prior, and we have somewhat outgrown our stay on earth. And so what is happening is this global awakening, new earth ascension, the frequency changes, all the things that are happening that you see around you, even like the growth of like technology and all these things that, gosh, back in the 80s when I would watch cartoons, the Jetsons or things like that, like I never imagined that one day we would have cars that could drive themselves, or that they would start to work on having flying cars, things like that. So we are actually in a really amazing time while we are here on earth, but there's something in a lot of us that are keeping us from stepping into our potential. And so, one of the things that I want to point out is, if you are feeling as if you have more to offer the world, or if you are feeling as if you're ready to step into something or do something new, one of the things that you could really look at and see where your giftings are is your triggers. I will use a couple examples to give you a little bit of insight of what I mean by this. So, for example, simply watching me or listening to my podcast and thinking, gosh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could take that step. And then, like, maybe comparing yourself to even me and what I'm doing and thinking, how I don't know if I can do that, but having this inner pull to wanting to do something, like wanting to share your voice, but you're triggered in some way to either withdraw and pull yourself back, or you're triggered with jealousy or envy, or the things that we might feel when we also want to do something. The reason that is coming up for you is because you do have the capability and capacity to do the same. Another example, if you go and you watch somebody standing in their confidence, speaking in front of a crowd, sharing their story, doing something that inspires you, and it causes you to maybe think about yourself as not as good, or I wish I could be like that, or kind of comparing your life in some way, and it causes this internal like anxious feeling that would be really similar to a PTSD feeling. It could actually be attempting to expose a light within you that is meant to be shown into the world, that you have hidden or has been hidden because of the experiences that you've had in your life, where you were taught to not speak up, or you were taught to hide your power. And so now that you are attempting to step out into your power and be the best version of yourself, you might feel, this is where like imposter syndrome comes in. And this is where it feels like you're not really sure what your gifts are, what you're supposed to do. Now, there's a whole bunch of other things that play into this. And this is what I do with my one-on-one clients. And in my courses, I teach people how to understand their own energy and their gifts, and really get down underneath all the programming of their ego to find those so that they can live them out in their daily lives. But until you really know that you want to let go of things, until you are willing and ready to go into those places, you likely will not expose all of your gifts. And so, in many ways, in order to expose your gifts, you have to expose the darkness that hides the gifts first. Because if you try to shine a light through fog, it does not illuminate the light as much. It's harder to see through a foggy energy than it is just to shine your light through clear air. Like, one of the examples I like to use when I'm teaching about just light in general and energy in general is when you're driving on a foggy night. We're taught, don't use your brights because it makes it harder to see in the fog. So you keep your light dim so you can see as you drive through the fog. But if it was a clear night and you're driving, you're going to want to have your brights on if if there's not a traffic coming and all that. So, but in order to do that, you have to clear out, like you would have that fog would have to be cleared in order to be able to shine your light at the full potential. And in some ways, as a human in our lifetime, we won't get to the point where we're shining our full potential because we are dimmed anyways by being a human, because our spirit is not capable of being as most authentic, most powerful self in the human experience. And that's why we actually came to be a human, is to dim our light, to cause some contrast. Now, if you go back into my last episode where I talk about the energy of darkness and fear and shame, you will understand a little bit more about why this happens, why we have this contrast that with darkness and light. But this again goes back to the same teaching, that when we finally work with the darkness, when we work along with it, we see it, we release it, we acknowledge it, we let it be a part of our life and our story, but we don't let it define who we are. We move back into our truth of who we are as a spirit, as our highest self, and we let that radiate outside of us. So when you start to have a trigger by something positive happening in your life, I'm talking about positive experiences. I'm not talking about like if somebody yells at you and you get upset, or somebody makes a loud noise and it makes you jump. Like that's a whole nother trigger. This trigger I'm talking about is positive experiences that cause you to go pull back your energy, pull back in shame, pull back your light, because those triggers are actually attempting to expose in you something that is good, that is meant to come out into the world. And not everybody's going to have the same one. Somebody could sit and watch somebody speak on a stage all day long and never feel envy, never feel any kind of like trigger about that. They're not meant to be on that stage. They're not meant to be a part of that. Another thing is if you're seeing this and you're feeling that envious feeling and you're saying, I wish I could, I wish that, it's not sometimes not necessarily that you're supposed to be on the stage, but maybe that means you're supposed to be speaking up more in your life. That means you're supposed to be sharing your values more. You're supposed to be protecting your boundaries even more, so you can share your value, like you're the value that you possess and all the things that the world needs out of you. Instead of letting the fog of your life dim your light, clearing it out and showing up daily for your family, for your friends, for the job that you have. So all those things play together. So I want to encourage you, as you move forward this next week, like think about where are my positive triggers? Where are the areas that I feel like I wish I could? And maybe take note of that. Maybe even write it down. And if you want to work on it, I would love if you would want to work with me. I have a 7-week program. We can explore it. And I can 100% guarantee, I will guarantee you, if you do the work I teach you in the 7 weeks that we have together, your life will transform in that time. I have worked with so many people over the last several years, and every single one of them have a positive outcome, and their life completely changes after that 7 weeks. Now, it is up to you to continue that change, and you are always welcome to work with me, continue. A lot of people want to continue to do that, but that is something I can guarantee. If you are feeling these triggers, if you are feeling this need to show up more, then reach out. Let's see if we can get you there. Let's see if we can get you to the place where you want to be. If you would ask a coach, if it's, I will provide you the education on aligning your energy with what you are meant to do. And that is just a gift I have that I would love to help you do if that is something you are seeking. I also want to invite any women that are listening to this to the Women Awaken Circle. We meet twice a month around the new moon and the full moon. And as a spirit channel, I do bring channeled messages from spirit and teachings, and then we collaborate and we talk about spiritual growth and spiritual alignment and healing and becoming our most authentic self and manifesting. And so I would love to have you if you want to. If you want to get on my website or in the link below, there should be a place to sign up that and you can come join us. You will get an email with the Zoom link. We meet on Zoom, and come and hang out with us. So once again, I remind you, pay attention to your triggers this week or whenever you hear this, and leave me a 5-star review. I would love that. And a comment on how the podcast is, or the YouTube video, wherever you're listening, is helping you or supporting you, and share it with a friend. I would love to start getting this out to more people as there's more and more people looking to step into their highest potential and power. So I wish you the best day, night, evening, whatever time it is for you. I send you all the universal love. Namaste.